problem, and here's where people have gotten stuck. Nobody thinks that America is... People believe that freedom is the norm, that we will always be free, that man has always been free, and we're never going to have to worry about our government going bad because this is just the norm. If you look at history, freedom is the freak. If you would look at the whole timeline of human history, and you put the whole timeline across for human history, the time that people have been free, this is the end of the world, this is the beginning of the world, freedom would probably be about that much, where man has truly been free. Agree?
I do agree.
We are in that space, and we say it's been 200 years. But yes, think of the Dark Ages. Think of the tyrants throughout all of human history. This is really, I mean, one of the phrases that really comes to mind lately is Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan saying, if we lose freedom here, this is the last bastion of freedom. Where is the world going to go? Where, if freedom... I had a guy from New Zealand sitting in my office, and he was doing some research, and I said, you're from New Zealand. Why do you care about this? He looked at me and he said, because if you fall, everything falls. If the United States is gone, China rushes in, and they take the South Pacific. It totally changes if we fall. So we're looking at a brief period of time. So every time we give up some of our rights, every time we look at that and say, well, we'll just give them a little bit, what you're doing is you're weighing in the balance, do I believe our freedom is going to last? Do I believe it's secure? We've all grown up feeling it was secure, didn't we? How many of us believed 5 years ago the things about our freedom that we believe now? How many of us said 5 years ago, oh, this thing, we could lose our freedom in a heartbeat? Never. John did. Why, John?
I've been actually talking about some of the stuff that you talk about on your show since about 1992. I used to read a paper. I used to read a paper called The Federalist. It was a, not a bootleg paper, but it was a paper that the militias at that time, which is now some of the Tea Parties, the militias were considered taboo, bad people. And they weren't. They were talking about some of the things that are being talked about right now.
Okay.
And some of the publications out used to talk about all this stuff.
Are you a militia member now?
No. I used to be accused of it, though.
Okay. Well, who now wants to rethink the Second Amendment and guns when you hear militias believe these things? Because that's really what we're talking about. You have to balance, do you not, Judge? That's what people do. They say, who's the bad guy? Is it the militias or is it the government?
Well, the founders used the word militia in the Second Amendment to recognize that militias, groups of individuals, private individuals who knew how to use their weapons, would be there to repel tyrants who would try and take our freedom.
Do you know who the first militia member was? Anybody know this? Who? Who? Shane? I'd go here.
Oh, Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin, when he tried to get the Congress to act, and he said, the British are coming, the British are coming, and they said, oh, please, Ben, nothing's going to happen. He actually went door to all of his neighbors and said, they won't do anything. This Congress isn't going to do anything, and the British are going to come, and they're going to run us over. Come on. And he actually took people out to the square, and he drilled them. It was Ben Franklin. That's what they meant by militia, not our reserves now. They did mean individuals that would stand up when the bad guys would come to town. Let's see. Let's go to the next two on the Second Amendment and guns. I generally support the right to bear arms. The government should regulate arms via registration requirements and other regulations is the next choice. And then gun control is essential and must be strengthened if gun violence in this country is to be eliminated. This one drives me nuts. The stats in England, when they banned guns and took them away, gun violence went up. And this is the argument of the bad guys get the guns. Did anybody take those last two? Anybody here take those? Good for you. You're getting gold stars. Okay, here's the next one. Speech and property rights. The government shouldn't restrict speech, media, or the internet. Rights of free citizens who don't violate other rights must be protected. Private property should be protected at all times. Who said yes to this? This one's important. We're facing both of these things. We're facing private property should be protected at all times. Right now, there are several people, several cases all around the country where the government is just going in and taking private property because of taxes, because they say we can make more money if we take this property and give it to a hotel chain or something like that. Property rights. The second, restrict free speech, media, or the internet. The rights of citizens don't violate their other rights must be protected. What does that mean, Judge?
It means you have the right to say to think as you wish, to say what you think, and to publish what you say, and the government has the obligation to protect that right. Even if the government doesn't like it, even if it hates what you say, even if it fears what you say, it has the obligation to protect your right to say it.
What about people like me that say things like this about Van Jones?
He would take away your right to speak. You would uphold his right to speak.
The next one is speech, assembly, press, and internet should be free except to protect public safety. Free speech zones can be established to protect the right of free speech while ensuring security at public events. Who said yes to this? Becky, how come?
I did. Well, I was thinking more on the, and as related to the last question, terrorism. I don't know how to behave. I don't know how it would look to be completely free and yet still protect our country from terrorism.
Can I tell you what a free speech zone is? The United States of America is a free speech zone.
Well,
that's what the First Amendment tells us.
Here's the free speech zones, in case you don't know what it is. Let's say the president is going to give a speech, and here he is over here, and he's going to be, and of course his teleprompters on each side. Okay, he's over here. The free speech zone is usually about a block away with everybody standing over here. Why is that a problem, Judge?
Well, because speech is ineffective if it can't be heard by the target of the speech, number one. Number two, it's the government deciding where you can stand and when you can speak. And the First Amendment says individuals make those decisions for themselves.
Do I have a right? Do I have a right, if I'm the President of the United States, to say, look, I'm just trying to give a speech here? They should stand outside. They should be someplace else. Otherwise, we've seen it, both Republicans and Democrats. If you just said, hey, everybody, if you disagree, you can be right here in front of the president, you'd never be able to have the president give a speech.
The owner of the building has the right to stop people from interfering with his speech, but nobody has the right to say, you can't be inside this building.
So in other words, if he's giving a speech at the White House, we could all go and disrupt it.
I wish we could, but we can't.
Okay. The next one is speech, assembly, press, the internet should be free except when legitimate public policies would be undermined. Property rights should be subject to the needs of the government. This is when we're starting to go into Progressiveville. Anybody? Government should regulate speech, media, internet, and property rights at its own discretion within reason is the last choice. Again, we're taking a quiz today. You can find out all of the, you can take all of this yourself and find out exactly where you are on this chart. You can take it at glennbeck.com. The idea is, if you're going to be a progressive, that's okay. I so vehemently disagree with you, but that's okay. But don't say you're a progressive because I like progress. That's the worst answer I've ever heard. Be what matches your answers. We'll give you that here in just a second.